Kratos is one of the baddest men in video games since God of War's 2005 release. Here's a full chronological timeline of the God of War series. Spoilers ahead. While it might be natural to assume that the first God of War game released in 2005 would be where this video begins, God of War Ascension, a prequel released in 2013, actually takes place 10 years before the events of the original game, set in an alternate version of Greece filled with gods and mythical creatures. The God of War series at its core is about one really tough, angry man, Kratos, taking revenge on all who have wronged him, just like Liam Neeson's character in Taken. But before we can go any further, we need to talk about the elephant in the room: Kratos mistakenly killing his wife and daughter. Yeah, yikes. Kratos was tricked into killing his family by the god of war, Ares. Kratos, a Spartan warrior, prayed to Ares for victory. In response, Ares promised to aid Kratos in exchange for his unwavering loyalty, and so Kratos was bestowed the Blades of Chaos. After that, Kratos was a killing machine tearing through Greece, and he became known for his brutality in service to Ares, in an attempt to create the perfect warrior that wouldn't be held back by loved ones or moral trepidations. Ares tricked Kratos into blindly killing his wife Lysandra and daughter Calliope. After finding out what he had done, Kratos renounced Ares, and a village oracle cursed Kratos, condemning him to wear the mark of his terrible deed, the ashes of his family, which turned his skin pale white, and thus earning him the name the Ghost of Sparta. Now that's a tragic backstory that even beats out John Wick's. God of War Ascension's story starts 6 months after Kratos killed his family. The game begins with Kratos being tortured by the Furies for breaking his oath to Ares. Kratos manages to break free from his imprisonment and sets out to seek vengeance against the Furies and the gods who have wronged him. Throughout his journey, Kratos encounters several characters, including the Oracle of Delphi, who warns him of a powerful weapon that the Furies seek to control, the Eyes of Truth. Kratos finally confronts the Furies and defeats them, reclaiming his freedom and the Eyes of Truth. But Kratos learns that the only true way to free himself from his past and his bond with Ares is to serve another god like Athena, who promises to erase Kratos' traumas. And so begins Kratos' 10 years of service to the goddess Athena and the end of God of War Ascension. God of War Chains of Olympus, released in 2008 for the PlayStation Portable, or PSP to its loyal fans, is another prequel to the original God of War trilogy. The story begins 5 years after the ending of Ascension, with Kratos being sent by the gods to the city of Attica to defend it against a Persian invasion. While there, Kratos discovers that the sun god Helios has been captured and the world is plunged into darkness. Kratos sets out on a journey to rescue Helios and restore the sun to the sky. Kratos eventually confronts the goddess Persephone, who reveals that she orchestrated the events leading up to Helios' capture in order to create a new world free from the influence of the gods. She offers Kratos a chance to rule this new world alongside her, but he refuses and instead chooses to sacrifice himself to save Helios and restore the sun to the sky. God of War was the first game released in the God of War series in 2005. The game begins with a literal cliffhanger: Kratos standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to plummet to his death. He is plagued by nightmares of his past, including the murder of his own family, which was orchestrated by the god of war, Ares. Kratos is given a chance at redemption when the goddess Athena offers to help him if he will become the god's champion and defeat Ares. But because Zeus has forbidden divine intervention, Athena cannot help Kratos. Instead, he must find his own way to kill a god, which he soon does: Pandora's box. The only problem is Pandora's box is hidden in a temple, which just so happens to be chained to the back of the Titan Kronos, so good luck with that. But right after finally getting the box, Ares appears, taking the box for himself and sending Kratos down to the underworld. Kratos, with a little help from a mysterious gravedigger, is able to escape the underworld and retrieve Pandora's box to defeat Ares. Athena comes to congratulate Kratos, but to also tell him that while his sins have been forgiven, he will never be able to forget what he has done. Kratos, so distraught, jumps off a cliff into the Aegean Sea, but is saved by Athena. She brings him back to Mount Olympus and installs Kratos as the new god of war. God of War Betrayal is a mobile game released in 2007, and the game takes place after the first God of War game and follows Kratos on a new quest. Kratos is leading his Spartan army against Greece when he is attacked by beasts led by the giant Argos, sent by Hera to stop the war. However, an unknown assassin kills the beast, making an attempt to damage Kratos' reputation with the gods. Kratos pursues the assassin through Greece to discover their master, who is trying to turn the gods against him. Kratos faces obstacles from Hades' minions, and Zeus becomes increasingly increasingly concerned with the amount of destruction left in Kratos' path. The son of Hermes, Syrinx, is sent to deliver a message to Kratos, but Kratos refuses to stop and engages in battle, allowing the assassin to escape. The game concludes with Kratos killing Syrinx, and while the Spartan soldiers celebrate, Kratos realizes that Zeus will eventually take action against him for his defiance. God of War Ghosts of Sparta, released in 2010, takes place after the events of God of War 1, but before the events of God of War 2. The game begins with Kratos having a nightmare about his brother Deimos, who he thought had died when they were young. Deimos was born with an unusual birthmark, which the gods believed made Deimos the prophesied marked warrior who would defeat them, so that is why he is taken. But as a way to honor his lost sibling, Kratos marked himself with an identical red tattoo. Kratos sets out to find answers about his brother and his own past, leading him on a quest that takes him to the city of Atlantis and beyond. Kratos learns that his brother Deimos is alive and has been imprisoned in the domain of death by the god of death, Thanatos. Kratos travels to the domain and confronts Thanatos, ultimately freeing his brother and defeating the god in a climactic battle. In the end, Kratos learns that his own actions have contributed to his inner turmoil and the guilt he feels over his past. He comes to terms with his demons and returns to Sparta, ready to face the challenges that lie ahead. The game begins with Kratos serving as the new god of war, having defeated Ares in the first game. However, Kratos remains haunted by his past and seeks to overthrow the gods who he feels have wronged him. Kratos discovers that the goddess Athena has been manipulating him in order to preserve the power of Olympus. He is banished to the underworld by Zeus, where he must battle his way out and regain his strength. Kratos sets out on a journey to find the Sisters of Fate, who hold the power to alter time itself. He hopes to use their power to prevent his own death at the hands of Zeus, the king of the gods. Kratos eventually reaches the island of Creation, where he battles his way through the Temple of the Fates and confronts Zeus himself. Kratos learns from the Titan Gaia that he is the son of Zeus. Kratos is initially skeptical of this claim, but Gaia shows him a vision of his past that reveals the truth. The vision shows that Kratos sought the help of the gods to defeat a barbarian army. Zeus intervened in the battle and offered Kratos the blades of Athena. However, the blades were also cursed and would eventually lead to Kratos being tricked into killing his own family. In a climactic battle, Kratos almost defeats Zeus, but the god is able to escape. So Kratos uses his new powers, manipulating time, to bring the Titans back from the past to help him wage war on all the gods. God of War 3, released in 2010, begins almost exactly where God of War 2 left off, with Kratos leading the Titans in an assault on Mount Olympus, seeking to destroy the gods who have wronged him. The game's opening sequence sees Kratos battling his way through hordes of enemies, including the god Poseidon, whom he kills in a brutal and bloody battle. Kratos eventually confronts Zeus, the king of the gods, in a climactic battle that sees the two engage in a brutal fight to the death. In the end, Kratos emerges victorious and finally achieves his goal of vengeance against the gods. Athena confronts Kratos after he completes his mission to kill Zeus and demands that he return the weapon from Pandora's box. Kratos reveals that the weapon, which was hope, has been inside him all along since the first game. When Kratos opened the box, he released the evils it contained, which infected the gods of Olympus and set off the events of the subsequent games in the series. Despite Athena's demand for the return of hope, Kratos no longer trusts the gods and kills himself to spread hope to the mortals. The game ends with Athena walking away disappointed, and in a post-credits scene, Kratos appears to have recovered from death once again. The 2018 God of War game serves as a soft reboot of the series, taking place several years after the events of God of War 3. The game opens with Kratos, the former god of war, living a secluded life in the land of the Norse gods with his young son, Atreus. Kratos' wife, Faye, has recently passed away, and as per her final wish, Kratos and Atreus set out to scatter her ashes at the highest peak in the 9 realms. Along the way, they battle a variety of mythical creatures like Jormungandr, the world serpent, and gods, including Odin, Thor, and Baldur, the game's primary antagonist who they eventually defeat. As they journey through the Norse realm, Kratos and Atreus must work together to overcome various obstacles and enemies, both physical and emotional. Atreus is initially weak and inexperienced, but Kratos teaches him how to fight and develop his powers as a god. The game's plot gradually reveals that Atreus is not just an ordinary boy because he is the son of Kratos, a former god, and Faye, who is a giant, a fact we learn near the game's conclusion. This revelation explains Atreus' unique abilities and the interests of the gods in their journey. Kratos and Atreus eventually reach the peak and scatter Faye's ashes. The game ends with Kratos and Atreus learning of another prophecy foretelling their participation in the upcoming apocalypse called Ragnarok, and that Faye originally wanted to name Atreus something else, Loki. Spoilers ahead. Released in 2022, God of War Ragnarok starts towards the end of Fimbulwinter. Kratos and Atreus return home to find their loyal companion Fenrir, a wolf, on his deathbed. As Odin and Thor arrive, Odin offers to leave them alone if Atreus abandons his quest to find the god Tyr, and thus prevent Ragnarok from occurring. Kratos instead agrees to help Atreus find Tyr, and they journey to Svartalfheim to rescue Tyr, before heading to Groa's shrine in Alfheim to discover the truth about Ragnarok. They learn that Atreus is destined to become the new champion, Loki, and lead the other realms after Asgard's destruction. After the death of one of their friends by Odin disguised as Tyr, Kratos and Atreus vow to make Ragnarok happen and assist Surtur in achieving his destined form to destroy Asgard. Kratos leads the united forces of the realms to siege Asgard, with Angrboda and Jormungandr aiding them. Thor initially fights against Kratos but changes his mind and is killed by Odin. Kratos and Atreus defeat Odin and trap his soul in a spiritual stone, which is later destroyed out of vengeance. Atreus discovers a mural revealing the fate of the giants and decides to search for them in other lands, bidding farewell to Kratos. Kratos discovers a mural depicting him as a peaceful and revered god, and in all likelihood marking the end of his story. While there will certainly be more games in the God of War franchise, this may be the end of Kratos as our main character and is very likely to be the end of the Norse mythology. Where the game could go next is anyone's guess, but God of War could take a page out of the Assassin's Creed handbook and start to change the location and mythology from game to game. Ancient Egypt could be up next, or maybe a story revolving around ancient cultures in Central and South America. Many have theorized that they were hints in God of War Ragnarok to allude to the next God of War game taking place in Hindu mythology. Whatever they choose, as fans, we can trust the creators of Santa Monica Studios to bring us the very best revenge-fueled video games. The God of War series is so old now, it can vote. It's amazing to see how far we have come with gameplay and graphics. Everything looks so realistic now, but I still remember hacking my way through Greece on my old PlayStation 2. Which God of War did you first play, and on what device? And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to stay up to date with everything on Screen Rant.